everyone, this is John Daly. I'm here again with Bernie Goldberg for another episode of the No BS Zone. How's it going today, Bernie?
So far, so good, John. How about you?
Doing all right, thank you. So today we're going to start things off with the upcoming presidential debates. A lot of people are talking about them. Biden and Trump have agreed to two debates, one on CNN and the other on ABC. The debate rules will be a little different than what we've seen in the past. There won't be the live audiences, and the candidate who's not on the clock will have his microphone muted. Bernie, lots of people are surprised these debates actually came together. Others are doubting that they'll actually happen. What are your thoughts?
Well, the reason the debates are happening is because Joe Biden has come to realize that if he runs on his record, he's not going to win re-election. So they, meaning his campaign team, decided this election can't be a referendum on Joe Biden. It has to be a referendum on Donald Trump. And the best way to do that is to have a debate, two debates in this case, where people, hopefully, Biden is hoping, will remember who Donald Trump is. Now, Democrats, the debate won't matter to partisan Democrats, and the debate won't matter to MAGA Republicans. They're set. The audience they're aiming at are the undecided swing voters, especially women. These are people who will decide the election. And if Donald Trump does what he's done in the past, if he's rude, if he's nasty, if he doesn't simply disagree with Joe Biden on policy, but takes cheap shots at him, if he interrupts all night, that won't sit well with those moderate type of voters. Nasty and rude don't go over well with moderate people. And Donald Trump thinks he can't lose the debate because he's debating, in his view, to a guy who can't put two sentences together. But I'm telling you that Donald Trump can lose this debate, and it could cost him the election. But if he loses the debate, it won't be Joe Biden who beat him. It'll be Donald Trump who beat himself. And I've got a column coming up on this on Monday. So take a look at that if you would.
Yeah, we've gotten a number of comments from members who don't think this is actually going to happen. I think it will. I think that unless one of the candidates is hit with a personal crisis, or potentially there's a national crisis that I guess could happen as well that would take Biden out of it. But people may not realize these plans didn't come together as spontaneously as both men pretended. There was a lot of theater and Biden jumping in and accepting his challenge, but the campaigns had worked out these details in advance well before that even happened. Bernie, I was curious what your take is on the new debate rules. I actually like these. I've never found any value in the live audiences. I think they're kind of annoying and kind of distracting. And I actually like the idea of cutting people's microphones when it's not their turn. In theory, it should make for a more orderly and productive debate. And on paper, I think the rules actually seem more favorable to Biden. At the same time, I think these rules might actually save Trump from something you were talking about, that disaster he had in that first debate back in 2020 when he couldn't stop talking and he kept interrupting. And all Biden had to do in that one was basically act like an adult in order to win it. And he did win it because of that. I'm not confident Biden will do as well this time around. But what do you think about the new debate rules?
I think the key words that you just said were "in theory." Yeah, I think they work in theory. On paper, they work. But when you cut Donald Trump's mic, or even Joe Biden's mic, and they're in the middle of a sentence, the middle of an idea or a thought, they're going to keep talking. It's going to be as what's the word I'm looking for? Circus-like.
Yeah.
Ridiculous. It's going to look the same way as if they didn't cut their mics. Now, cutting their mics might encourage them to keep it tight, but I don't think it will. I think the mic will go off and Donald Trump will say, Jake Tapper is out to get him or something. I don't see it being any different, and I don't think this helps Donald Trump. Donald Trump has also set the bar so low for Joe Biden that if Biden simply is still alive and breathing at the end of the debate, he will be seen as the winner. I mean, it just doesn't make sense to say the guy can't put two sentences together, because when he does put two sentences together, he looks like he just won the debate. Doesn't Donald Trump does things all the time that are not in his best interest.
Yeah, I think it's personally, I guess I'm sort of looking forward to, and with both of these guys, because they're both long-winded speakers, just of different styles. But yeah, I'm kind of, I think it's going to be sort of entertaining to watch their mics get cut mid-sentence. I think that's going to be a lot of fun for me. I don't know. I just to see him get flustered and everything. I thought it was funny. Mitt Romney had sort of a good line about how he thought the debates would be entertaining, and it would be like those two old guys on the Muppets that are up in the stands. So I, I think that'll maybe it'll be more entertaining and not as much of a car wreck as I'm thinking it could be.
If you want entertaining, you should be in favor of an audience,
That's
because
right.
you want them booing and clapping and, adding to the confusion on stage. If you want entertaining,
Right.
having just two guys sitting at a table with no audience, it just feels flat. It doesn't. We live in the United States of entertainment, as I've said many times. And
Right.
in the United States of entertainment, you want that audience in there throwing their 2 cents in during the debate.
I guess I'm more of a fan of entertainment wise, like an awkward silence and awkward moments than I am the performative part of it. So yeah, for me, I think that'll be sort of interesting. Um, let's go ahead, if that's all right, and move on to the next topic. We wanted to talk about the Trump hush money trial. It's coming to an end, and I can say, perhaps even with a little pride, that I paid very little attention to any of this. I'm uh, I'm actually far more interested in the upcoming trials. I think those charges are much more on the up and up, and more consequential. Bernie, are you going to miss hearing about Stormy Daniels, Michael Cohen, and Trump's sexual weirdness and all that stuff?
Doesn't matter if I'm going to miss it. I think CNN is going to miss it. I mean, their gavel. These are their words. Their gavel to gavel coverage is just embarrassing. Donald Trump blinked today. Donald Trump touched his cheek. I mean, this is ridiculous. But my take on the trial, I said this during our last No BS zone, and I'm more convinced than ever. This is a political trial. This is a sham trial. This is a trial orchestrated by Alvin Bragg, a progressive Democrat, to help him, Alvin Bragg, with his progressive pals in Manhattan, and even to help the Democratic Party writ large to hurt Donald Trump. I'm convinced more than ever Donald Trump isn't right on a lot of things, but he's right on this. It's a political trial to get Donald Trump, to hurt him politically. And you know what? Even if he's found guilty, and this is happening in Manhattan, where 85% of the voters the last time around voted for Joe Biden, 85%. So there's a good chance he's going to be found guilty no matter what the evidence presented during the trial. I don't think it's going to hurt Donald Trump. Certainly not going to hurt him with his own supporters. It's not going to help him with Joe Biden supporters. Both sides are locked in. But if we're talking about those moderates that we just talked about in the last segment, those moderates may very well see this the way I see it. This is a transparently political trial, and it's not right. It's not right.
You had mentioned the CNN coverage. I follow Caitlin Collins of CNN on Twitter, and she's been covering this. And yeah, just it's funny. And I like Caitlin Collins, and this isn't a shot at her. This was the job she has, but it was funny listening to just the detail, the pure amount of detail that she's describing in the courtroom, and it is over the top. Regarding the case, I think I'm pretty close to you on this. I think Trump did what he's being accused of. At the same time, I think the prosecution politically motivated for sure. At the same time, I was going to ask your take on this. I don't feel particularly sorry for Trump in any of this. And Megyn Kelly, we both are familiar with. She's actually been very pro-Trump in recent years. I think for some professional reasons but she recently tweeted why I feel that way, where I don't feel sorry. And I wanted to get your take on this. She said, the Trump trial is obviously BS, but it does occur to me this whole thing underscores the importance of quality control in one's life. Lie down with dogs, dot, dot, dot. And I think she's talking about karma there. I think she's saying that this is one of those times when Trump's, immoral lifestyle, his personal corruption, his relationships with shady people have actually caught up with him. Bernie, do you see that just from a different perspective at all? Do you see it that way, or do you see this situation purely through a legal and political lens?
This is not exactly a bulletin, but Donald Trump is a reckless man. He's reckless. He got involved with a porn star. I mean, I sort of get the attraction part, but one thing leads to another. And the other trials too. I mean, he makes a phone call in Atlanta, which may be another political trial, another progressive Democrat orchestrating it. But he makes a phone call to a Georgia state official saying, "I need you to find 11,000 votes." Now he could say what I meant was because they really exist, so find them. But yeah, I know I'm just trying to say how he might defend it in court.
Right.
But he's reckless. He does things where he brings this crap on himself. I think the trial is wrong. I think he's being targeted, but I think Megyn Kelly is onto something.
Yeah, I think it's kind of interesting too. I see that Sean Hannity is out there every night, and others on the right, going after Michael Cohen for his lack of character and everything. And they're right. It's funny, but you go back a few years, and Michael Cohen was a regular on Fox News, back when he was still on Trump's side, and Hannity thought he was this magnificent preacher, who was sticking it. But yeah, I think for people like me, you and me, we've always recognized that this guy is a sleaze. I mean, that was sort of it was his job to be a sleaze when he was working for Trump. But you have him, you have Michael Avenatti, who's now becoming popular on the right because from prison, he's speaking out. It's funny to watch these people that are just not, this is all people we know because of Donald Trump, Stormy Daniels, everybody else. But it's just kind of strange to see both sides kind of go back and forth, and yesterday's hero is today's villain. It's just kind of a mess.
Yeah, there's a reason for this. And I'm going to say something I've said 100 times before once again, because principles are either dead or dying. These people in the media that you mentioned, they're not principled people. They're people who make decisions based on convenience. So they could love Michael Cohen when it suits their purpose to love him, and they could hate him, and they never make an acknowledgement that I know I used to love the guy, now I hate him because. They just switch their positions as if they never held the previous position. This seems to be a no BS zone where I'm repeating myself on a number of things, but I've said before that I think one of the most divisive forces in all of America, I know that sounds like a grandiose statement, but I really believe this, is cable news. Because they didn't start the divisions in America, but they take advantage of them. They make them worse, and they do it for only one reason. They do it for money, and that makes them despicable. We're divided enough in this country. Bill Maher but by the way, Bill Maher is another guy. The left loves him when he's on their side and hates him when he goes to the right, and the right the other way around. They love him when he attacks Biden and liberals, and they hate him when he doesn't. But Bill Maher is talking now a lot about the divisions in America, and he's acknowledged at least that he was part of that problem. He said, I don't want to be part of that problem anymore. Polarization is the biggest problem facing America, a lot bigger than climate change, a lot bigger. And when people change sides and love, Michael Cohen one day and hate him the next, it's because they don't have principles, and it just fuels the divisions in America. It's a real serious problem.
No, I agree. And it's, you say cable news, I think it goes beyond that. It's a cable news model because it's translated to the internet, it's translated to everywhere else, translated to a lot of discourse, just in between normal Americans who watch these things. So yeah, it's, we can point to how few, I mean, it's, Fox gets about 3 million tops or maybe a little around there each night. You get the other ones combined, probably somewhere close to that when you combine them. But I think it all trickles down into our culture, and it trickles onto the internet, and it really is shaping our political discourse in very negative ways. So yeah, I totally agree with you on that.
Bill Maher, if I can make this point about what he says, he's got a book out, and in it he talks about how people didn't believe Rome could fall until it did. We don't believe we could have a civil war in this country until we do. We don't think certain things could ever happen. Like I don't think a civil war is going to happen in this country. But if we keep this polarization going, if we keep lacking principles and just do what's convenient and switch sides and all that crap, things that we don't think are possible are not possible until they are. That's the point. They're not possible until they are possible. So it's time you could disagree with the other side all you want. That's fine, but don't hate the other side. And that's a problem liberals have with Donald Trump. They hate Donald Trump. Fine, be my guest. But you can't hate, as Bill Maher says, you can't hate all the people who support Donald Trump. They're half of America.
I think that's a great point. I think I agree with that across the board. So let's go to our last topic, Bernie. This is one that caught your eye a little more than it did mine. I think in part because I don't really follow sports too closely. So I had to do a little bit of homework, and you helped me sort of catch up to speed on it. So Kansas City Chiefs kicker Harrison Butker, who's a devout Catholic, he delivered a graduation speech in which he promoted several, I'd say, traditional values. He took a shot at President Biden too, but I think that the words he said that really got the most press is he encouraged female graduates to reject the perceived importance of a professional career and embrace more what he saw as the real importance of motherhood and being a homemaker. His words, unsurprisingly, they didn't sit well with a lot of people, mostly a lot of people on the left, but maybe more than that. Some people have called for his cancellation, his firing from his team. Bernie, what's your take on this story?
First, he didn't speak to just any old college. He spoke to a Catholic college.
Right.
So you don't have to agree with what Butker said. He sounded like he was still in the 1950s, and you don't have to agree with it. Although I think there's a lot to be said for a woman wanting to be a mother and a homemaker. I don't think if he had said during the speech, I think women should go out there and become lawyers and financial advisors, the left wouldn't have any problem with that. But he said motherhood and homemaker. That's what really got. But you don't have to agree with the other stuff that he said about gays and trans people and all that. He isn't the issue to me as much as the elite liberals in this country are, elite liberals in the media and outside the media, because they don't understand people like Butker. They don't understand the millions and millions and millions of Americans, and female Americans too, included in that number, who don't find anything outrageous about what he said. So what I find outrageous is that liberals in the media and liberals outside the media just don't get the other part of America. They are so snobby. They are so convinced of their rightness. They are so illiberal. These are liberals who forgot how to be liberal. A real liberal would say, well, I don't agree with that, but God bless. I mean, if that's what you want to believe, as long as you're not forcing women to not pursue careers outside the home, as long as you're not asking for legislation or anything. So it's an opinion. Harrison Butker had a freaking opinion, and the left has gone crazy over it. This is about the left, not about Harrison Butker.
No, I think that's a good take. I wasn't sure when we started talking about this that you were going to go in that direction, but you're absolutely right. I think that's the bigger story here. Is that this? It's so many people in the media, live in this bubble that you've been describing for many years now, where they hear something like that, it's completely foreign to them. They think they don't understand that side of America, and it's kind of funny. I thought people would have gotten a little more upset about him taking a few pot shots at Joe Biden, the president during that. People didn't really seem to care about that. But it's as far as I'm concerned, like you said, I'm with you on this. If you don't agree with him, that's fine. I think trying to get him fired because you don't agree with him, that's ridiculous, of course. But yeah, I think so many people that said that and found it just completely outrageous. Yeah, you just wonder. You just got to think that they are living in this bubble where they don't run into these types of people that believe that sort of thing in their everyday life, and so it's just completely over the top to them.
I wrote in one of my books that you could go in this country, you could go for a day, a week, a month, a year, practically a lifetime, if you're in the bubble, in the comfy liberal bubble, and not be confronted by a conservative point of view, unless you turn on Fox by accident, or in the old days, turn on Rush Limbaugh by accident. If you avoided Rush Limbaugh when I wrote this, if you avoided Rush Limbaugh and Fox News, and you're a liberal in America, you might not be exposed to any conservative views. I've had liberal friends who I mentioned something that was just commonplace in conservative circles. They never heard about it. They just didn't know anything about it. So that's part of this theme that we're going through today, unintentionally, the divisions in America. And the liberals who live in their comfortable liberal bubble don't have a clue that there are millions of people out there who don't think the way they do. And they're not bigots. I mean, some of them are. Some liberals are bigots. But by and large, they're not bigots. They're just regular folks with a different point of view. Not acceptable to the liberal elite because they know best, according to them.
Right. Well, I'd say that's a good place to go ahead and wrap things up today. Bernie, I want to thank you as always. Is there anything you'd like to say before we take off?
What I always say at the end, come on, guys, tell your friends about us. The bigger the audience, the more influence we have. So tell your friends and ask them to sign up. Thank you.
Absolutely. Everybody, leave your comments in the comment section. Let us know topics you'd like us to talk about, and let us know how we're doing. Bernie, you have a great day. All right.
You too, John.